This is Amber Parrott with Morgan James Publishing, and today I have the honor and privilege of speaking with authors Terry Powell and Dr. Mark Smith, the authors of Oh God, I'm Dying, How God Redeems Our Pain for Our Good and His Glory. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me today.
Our privilege.
So glad to have you here. So I want to dive in and ask you both a couple of questions about the book. First and foremost, Terry, you approached Dr. Smith about writing his story. What prompted you to do that?
He had shared about his accident in 1996, a near-fatal car crash that has left him in severe pain, even to this day. And being someone with a background of depression, in my case, and increasing daily back pain due to a spinal issue, I was sensitive to the resiliency needed to keep serving the Lord and to keep living with some degree of joy despite daily pain of one sort or another. And when I heard him give, at that particular time, a skeletal overview of his story, it just came into my spirit. Boy, I would like to learn from this man. I would like to know how he keeps up a presidency of a well-known Christian university and does so effectively, and yet has the pain that he described briefly in a time with faculty and staff. So I believe he would have had the story written eventually. He might have done it himself, but being a writer by background as well as a professor, I went with him to the idea. And I was thinking a small booklet or an article to give to donors, but it turned into a much bigger project because he had a whole lot more to his story than I anticipated. So it was my own background and my own interest in saying, how does he cope with that pain and still serve with the joyful spirit that I saw in him?
Yeah, I love that. And it sounds like you right off the bat kind of related to some of those elements. So it's cool that a whole story and a much bigger message was pulled out of that.
Yes.
So, Dr. Smith, what is the purpose of sharing this story through a book?
Well, my wife and I have written portions of the story over the years, and we wanted to make sure that in every way we were conveying a story of hope over depression, over pain, over the things that we've been through in life. My wife and I have been married now 34 years.
Wow, congratulations.
And 34 years have been a story of God inspiring us and helping us through really hard times, all the way from the first early days of our marriage. We found out we were unable to have children. We were both teachers, and that just devastated us because we love children.
Yeah.
And we were teaching at the time, to the point where at the age of 30, I had this accident and for a year did not walk. And what I had to go through to come off of morphine and the depression and all of the drugs that I was on, going through in my body, adjusting and learning how to cope, to where every day now at 54 years old, and I've lived, people would epitomize my life as one, Dr. Smith, you're so joyful, you're just an encouragement. And I have learned to train my body, train my mind to be a person of joy in the midst of intense pain daily.
Wow.
And even in the midst of some days where the pain sends you into a depression period, but still I can be joyful when I'm out. So I've learned to do that, and I hope to convey with this story that you can go through pain and you can still have hope. You can come out of depression and live a God-filled good life. And my wife and I, it's been hard at times, but we've enjoyed our life together.
That's so precious. I love that. Thank you. So Terry, you've already talked a little bit about how you related to this story. How have you personally benefited from learning Dr. Smith's story?
One thing I try to do with my back pain is not to be complaining around my wife in the evening when my back pain worsens. And there's nothing, surgery or anything is not an option based upon my research with med specialists. So what I've learned from Dr. Smith is that even if it's sentence prayers, if it's genuine, you can start the day knowing you're going to hurt and say, as he does, Lord, give me a smile. Lord, give me a sweet disposition today. Because he has a lot of high pressure issues as a college president.
Sure.
But I have been amazed at the attitude of joy that he does exhibit, knowing that he's going to be hurting that day if he isn't already. And I learned from him that I can just ask the Lord sentence prayers early in the day to help me to exhibit a more joyous spirit and to actually have a more joyous spirit. So if nobody else benefits from the story of all the interviews I had with him, I certainly did, because I see how he acknowledges in the book with great transparency the difficulty and the pain, but he also acknowledges that God is my sustainer,
Yeah.
and that enables him. It's not just something that's odd. It's something where his faith actually strengthens him, and the Lord works through that to give him a joyful spirit, and that has been a lesson to me.
Yeah, I love that. I love that God has already used the story and, it's just in the beginning phases of sharing it. That's excellent. So, Dr. Smith, talk a little bit more about what your life is like now.
Well, first of all, I travel extensively and I am a university president. And travel is one of the most stressful things that I do, but that's about 70% of my job. I have to be connecting with donors and I have to be out speaking around the country. And so in the last month, I would have been to Pennsylvania. I'm going to Texas next week. I'm going to Washington, D.C. tomorrow. I'm going to Florida the week after that, and South Carolina the week after that, to the coastlands where some of our donors live. And so the stress of flying in particular, I love to fly. I can get on a plane and rest, actually, because it's my quiet space, is what I tell my wife. But the pressurized cabin does something to my body that increases my pain significantly. So I have a daily, I've had to learn to walk and work through the pain and do the long hours and learn how to crash when I'm done. But I do some days walk with a cane. I'll walk tomorrow with a cane. I do have tremendous back pain. My sciatic nerve was cut, and so the damage from that cannot be corrected. I was in the hospital just in the last 2 weeks getting an injection into my back, trying to get some steroid injections to do some blockers for the pain. And then on top of that, in the last year, I've developed cancer. And so I had my left kidney removed in the last year. So my life has been one of I've learned to live with pain and I've learned to live with struggle. But I'm so blessed every day to get the opportunity to live another day and share it with my wife and my 16-year-old Guatemalan kid that we adopted. Micah, he's my hot tamale from Guatemala, I call him. Got a lot of energy, and he's the sweetest life change we've ever had. So to make home joyful and to, when I get home, to go out and eat with them or to eat dinner with them every night, I try to do if I'm home and not traveling, just to make life great. So I make it daily. I do understand life is very brief from the accident and now the cancer. And so every day matters. And that gives me an urgency and intensity to make my life count while I have opportunity.
Wow, that is a beautiful perspective. And thank you so much for being open and honest about the pain that you have to deal with. So I do have another question about the book. It's funny because I think even in how you both have answered my previous questions, I think you've already kind of answered this question. But what message do you hope comes across with this story?
Well, I would like to see that they have hope and optimism that God can use them in spite of any type of setback or trial or pain, bodily, and that God actually delights in using weak and needy people, so he gets the glory or credit rather than us. So I'm hoping it has an effect of, wow, God can do something for me like he has done for Dr. Smith.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
My hope is that there might be some tools that people could use out of this book. When I wrote "Oh God, I'm Dying" with Terry, and Terry did a beautiful job. I want to thank him with all the interviews. And we had about 40 pages we had written different places and put together. And Terry took my wife's view and my view. I want to convey one that a marriage is worth fighting for. My wife and I love being married. And when you can get through the hard days, it only makes you stronger for and makes the great days more fun. I want to convey, secondly, the power of the Word of God is in my life the strength that I need. And this book conveys that, and you'll see a reliance. Psalms 34 was a passage that God gave to me. I will bless the Lord at all times. His praise shall continually be in my mouth. And that verse has become my life verse to live a life of praise and blessing to God. And I want to convey that people can, in the midst of the hardest times of life, when you're flat in a bed for almost a year and cannot move, and you have to learn to walk again, you have to move every finger. These fingers would not move, and I had to do this for hours, and now I've got some movement back in them. And just the fight is worth it. The Word of God is worth it. And life is brief and enjoyable, and enjoy every day. I want people to understand that as a result of the book.
I love that. Thank you both so much. So before we close today, I do want to ask, where can viewers at home connect with you?
Go ahead, Dr. Smith.
Well, first of all, if they want to connect with me, my email is mark.smith@ciu.edu. The other thing is I am on Facebook, and viewers can connect that way. I have several thousand followers. I've maybe 10,000. I put out videos, and I put out numerous content pieces on the internet. Thirdly, is I speak around the country. I speak to thousands every year. And if they will look, there will be advertisements for Dr. Smith. I speak sometimes on this topic of, oh God, I'm dying, and try to convey the hope as I go around. I just got back to Pennsylvania, 2 different big rallies where I spoke. But if I can, if someone wants me to speak, I also have my cell phone, 740-497-7873. That's not something I try to keep private. I want people to talk to me, and I want to be that hope that they need.
I love that. Thank you.
You can also reach me at CIU. I'm faculty emeritus, but I still teach part-time and do these writing projects. But terry.powell, Powell, @ciu.edu. And I have a blog on issues related to depression and faith. I post articles and personal stories 2 or 3 times a month at penetratingthedarkness.com. penetratingthedarkness.com.
Awesome. Thank you, gentlemen, so much for being open and honest and, just blessing our audience with your stories. So thank you for joining me. Congratulations on the release of your book. And thank you, viewers at home, for tuning in.
Thank you, Amber.
Thank you.